Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. For those of you that came in, if you're going to come forward and speak, make sure you state your name and address loud enough so a recorder can hear it and take that. At this time, if anybody's going to offer any testimony tonight, if you wouldn't mind standing and I'll swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Just a little bit of housekeeping here. We need to have a motion for approval of minutes from...
I move we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a case today, Hulda Langer, owner, and John Knox, agent, on an appeal for, I guess it was our code enforcement erred in following violations to the Summit Township zoning ordinance. So at this time, if somebody would like to come forward, or John, you have something to say?
A couple of things. My name is Ed Betza. I'm the solicitor, the lawyer for the board. This is an experienced board. They've been around a long time and they've had a lot of cases. But most of the cases that have come before this board have been what's classified as either variance hearings or special exceptions, and they're very particular. This is a unique situation. This is an appeal of a zoning decision, which this board, I don't believe, has ever had. I've had it as a lawyer, but the board has not had it. So we may be a bit choppy. That's why I wanted to at least make a couple statements. So the first thing that the board needs to find out, I just want to go through the process. The board needs to figure out what the board, well, let me back up. Normally the board, if there's a variance, that's essentially a request to bend the rules, the township's rules under certain limited circumstances. The board has the opportunity to take a look at a map at the request, and we do that in the other room, which we were in today, where we get a sense of what the issue is. Then we come in and we get to hear from the property owner with their request. The board's kind of in the dark on this one, just because of the nature of it. You can't bring the zoning officer in and say, tell us what you think, because the zoning officer, you're appealing the very decision of the zoning officer. So this is going to be a little choppy, but we'll get through it. But the way we're going to do it is the board first has to figure out what the issue is before the board. And so we're going to have the zoning officer indicate what documents were issued and why they were issued. And then we will turn to the property owner to say, why do you think that decision is wrong? And we may go back and forth several times, or everybody will get a chance to be heard. And if you forget your great argument, you'll get a chance to do it at a later point. But after everybody's done, the board will then sit back and decide whether or not they believe the zoning officer made an error. Does that make sense to everyone? Somewhat of a unique thing for us, so it's kind of exciting. So we'll have at it. Ms. Cass, I guess if you could start us off with explaining what you issued and why you issued it and under what authority, or what do you think there's a violation of?
All right. So as you know, Kip Hayford is our code enforcement officer, and he investigates alleged violations, enforces the code, the zoning ordinance, educates the public on applicable laws. So Kip was out and about doing his rounds with his vehicle, and he drove by 8788 Perry Highway, and he observed utilities being hooked up at that property. So he checked with me to see if anything is going on, or just to check to see if they get the permits necessary to bill, or if I knew what was going on, as we communicate throughout the day, what's going on in the township. He reported that he saw a plumber hooking up to water, there was electricity, being hooked up to a travel trailer.
Can you slide your mic a little closer to you?
Sure.
Thank you.
This was in June of 2022. Can you hear me? So that was around June 8th of 2022. Between June 8th and June 24th, Kip was doing his rounds and he noticed some people stopping at this property, and there was actually a travel trailer hooked up to utilities, and wanted to know if I was in the know on what's going on there. Around June 27th, Kim Hayford stopped at that property, 8788 on Perry Highway, and just wanted to touch base with the owner. He saw the owner out there and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And Mr. Gene Langer was there and talked to Kip, and he said, "Hey, I'm up here. I live in Pittsburgh, and I love coming up to Erie to go fishing, and I want to spend my weekends up here on my property, and I want to stay up here." And so Kip educated him and told him that you need to talk to Tammy and get some permits on your, and talk to her about what you need as far as permitting, whether if you're staying here, is it a temporary, is it permanent, or, with the utilities and everything being hooked up, he thought it was like a permanent, establishment. So he reported back to me, and then Mr. Langer came in my office and said, "Hey, I'd like to, can I bring my travel trailer or my RV up here, and I want to come up from Pittsburgh and stay on this property, and I want to go fishing, and is there a problem with that?" And I said, "Well, unfortunately we don't allow, the travel trailers or a camper on a property. That's what we have campgrounds for. And you're hooked up to utilities, so you're occupying that." And he shared that, yes, I come up here every weekend to go fishing, and so how can I make this work? And I said, "Well, these are the permitted uses in the commercial district." So he looked at the uses, and I said, "Well, there's single-family dwellings there. If you wanted to come up here and stay, if you want to have a house, and that's something that you can build a house. He goes, "Well, what about a mobile home?" And I said, "Well, that's under a special exception." And I explained to him the special exception, where you would have to go in front of the zoning hearing board and get their approval. Within that approval, there's also special criteria that fall under that particular special exception, as they all have additional criteria. So he goes, "Okay, I want to do that." So he went in front of the zoning hearing board in August 23rd.
Of 2022.
August 23rd of 2022. And he was granted a special exception for a single-family dwelling on that property at 8788. So that was good news. He was granted the special exception. The next step is to get your zoning permit. Before you get your zoning permit, I explained to him that you need to have water and sewer. I have the water and sewer permits in order for me to complete my zoning permit. I'll need your plot plan, your site plan that indicate your setbacks, your front yard, your side yard, your rear yard setbacks. And he did a little sketch. I think he wanted to show you at his last zoning hearing board that where he would like to place his mobile home. He presented the mobile home as a 3-bedroom unit. I don't know specifically the specs on that. Yeah, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. And I said, "Okay, great. The next step would be get your zoning permit." Well, ran into a little snag. The septic system that was there before, because there was some kind of establishment there before, way before my time, and there was a septic system there, and so we got the health department involved, and they failed the septic system. We got a letter from the Erie County Health Department saying it's not going to pass. So what's our next option? Our next option would be, well, there's no sewer available there, and so maybe a small flow treatment facility. So send them a list of engineers that are familiar with doing small flow treatment facilities, and here, and then he needed to get back to me on the status of that. Where are we with, you know, the small flow? For a long time, I didn't hear from him. Now we're in December of 2022. We're way past any kind of temporary use, so we're moving on to more of a permanent. We're going into like 6 months of staying, somebody, that travel trailer is still there being hooked up to utilities. But I wanted to work with them because maybe this small flow application takes a long time. I've worked in the past with some folks that were obtaining applications, and it takes a long time to get approval from the DEP. So I had heard no communication for a while, and then Mr. Knox, Attorney Knox, got a hold of me and he indicated that he's representing the Langers, and he requested a copy of our small flow treatment facility agreement. I had forwarded to him. I needed 5 copies notarized along with a check for $1,000, and that's for the Summit Township. That's with us, that's our requirements. But of course the DEP still has to approve that application. So of course they're probably waiting because they haven't heard from the DEP, you know, to see if the application was approved. So, haven't heard. So there was a little bit of a lag time because, again, I knew the application would take some time. So here we are in January of 24. Issued, the zoning office issued Langer a friendly, hey, FYI letter, courtesy letter, notifying them that they're in violation of section 630 regarding the temporary occupancy of a recreational equipment. They're in violation. It's been more than 30 days. It's no longer a temporary situation. You know, something they're living in. There's no construction. I know that there's no application because the DEP normally notifies me. There's no construction going on. And he was made aware that, you know, during construction, while construction, you are permitted to have a construction trailer there while you're building. However, you know, obviously a zoning permit has not been obtained because he did not get any kind of planning module or sewage or a small flow treatment facility permit. Let's see. So I emailed the letters to Mr. Knox and just kind of kept them in the loop. I indicated that this has been going on for over a year, and that's actually been 2 years, that that travel trailer has not been moved and they're hooked up to utilities. This is not a mobile home. He did get approval at the zoning hearing board for a single-family dwelling. This is not a single-family dwelling on a permanent foundation. No zoning permit was issued, neither was a building permit. So on May 20th, we issued another courtesy letter in regards to Article 6, Section 630, B1 and 2 of the zoning ordinance regarding, you know, concerning storage of recreational vehicles. And, you know, we don't allow storage of any kind of travel trailer, recreational vehicles on a vacant piece of property. It must be put behind a principal structure or in a garage, stored in a garage. So it's in the same place it's been for 2 years. So the final notice violation, after the 30 days went by, then we sent out the notice of violation. So now you have another 30 days. And so we had another 30 days, and after that then, you know, the next step would be to file with district court.
Where do we fall in this 30 days at this point?
It's way past, it's past the 30 days for the courtesy letter and past the 30 days of the notice of violation. They filed this appeal within the second 30 days of the notice violation, I should say.
So there hasn't been any fines or anything to this point?
No, because he filed before the time limit.
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
we're all within a time frame.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at. A lot of communication back and forth, a lot of emails going back and forth.
So you're indicating that the property as it's currently operated is in violation, I believe you said, of Article 6, Section 630,
Yes.
B1 and 2?
Correct.
Is that the sole issue from the township in terms of violations?
Yep, storing the recreational vehicle, parking, and occupying. So, yes, B1 and 2, because it does indicate on B1 that you shall not be occupied for any, or occupied or used for any living or housekeeping purposes. Yes, that's correct.
And just, we're going to now turn to you, I think, here in a moment, unless the board has questions or if you have questions, but is it your contention that that determination of a violation of Article 6, Section 630, B1 and 2 is incorrect?
Cool. Yeah,
Is it, oh, yeah, please.
correct.
Okay. Is there any other appeal issue before the board that you're aware of at this point? Or is it just that you're not?
That is, I mean, we in our appeal application, our zoning hearing board application, says said notice of violation is inapplicable for the property owner is not in violation of said ordinance. Moreover, the township represented to the property owner that the item placed on the property in question was permissible and the property owner justifiably relied upon that representation.
All right. Can you explain your position?
Sure.
For the record, could we have your name and address?
Oh, sure. It is John Knox, sometimes referred to as W. John Knox. My firm address is 137 East 13th Street, Erie, PA 16503. I'm an attorney at Seabold, Hackwelder & Knox. And I represent Olga Langer and her husband, Gene. And I appreciate Ms. Cass's work here. We've been round and round about this for some time. I don't question her or the township's good faith efforts to work with Langers and figure something out here. But it's one of these situations that I think it sort of falls in between definitions or something along those lines. They think it's one thing, we think it's another. But in short, the property in question is owned by Olga Langer. Her husband, Gene, is a big fisherman. They live in Pittsburgh. He likes to come up here, as Ms. Cass recounted the conversation with him. They live in Pittsburgh. They're not permanently living up here. He just comes up here a few times a year to go fishing. And he thought that was a good site just to put his whatever we're going to call it, I guess just for sake of argument, without attaching a legal definition to it, his travel trailer on the property. Ms. Cass is correct. The Longers did have conversation, Gene specifically with I believe Ms. Cass, years ago, saying, hey, I want to do this, I want to bring this thing up here, and I want to live here. Would that be okay? Painting with a broad brush. And he was of the opinion that she said, yes, that would be fine. I'm sure there were other things said there, so I'm not going to try to represent what was said or what wasn't said. I wasn't there, but from my client's perspective, he was under the impression that what he would bring up here would be okay. I mean, many people shoot first and ask questions later. He asked questions first and then shot. So I think his good faith has been present throughout. The special exception that was granted back in 2022 did talk about a mobile home. If I heard Ms. Cass correctly in her presentation, I think she respectfully misdefined, if you will, what a mobile home is under the ordinance. She said something about a permanent foundation. A mobile home, as defined on page 27 of the zoning ordinance of Summit Township, is a transportable single-family dwelling intended for permanent occupancy, contained in one unit or in two or more units, designed to be joined into one integral unit, capable of again being separated for repeated towing, which arrives at a site complete and ready for occupancy except for minor and incidental unpacking and assembly operations, and constructed so that it may be used without a permanent foundation. Okay? Got that?
Just one other copy for you.
So there's that. We could look at this as, is this a mobile home? He went through the special exception process. We think it was a mobile home. Does it look like a classic Star mobile home? No, it does not, but I think by the definition of the township's ordinance, I believe it meets that. I believe the board, as you indicated, is sort of coming to this without a lot of point of reference, so.
For what everything's worth, I have a color photo of the trailer in question on the property.
And I'm sorry, I figured you got a picture of this.
I have one video.
Okay. So you see what I say when I say, is it a mobile home in the classic sense? Like a double wide or whatever our preconceived notions of a mobile home are? Probably not, but under the ordinance, again, I think it is, even though it looks like a travel trailer or some type of RV that we might think of colloquially. But the definitions matter. If you said to somebody, hey, that's an RV, and you're just talking amongst friends, they're probably going to know what you're talking about. But if you look to the zoning ordinance of Summit Township on page 32, an RV or a recreational vehicle is a vehicle type unit as classified by the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, primarily designed as temporary living quarters for recreational camping or travel use, which has its own motive power, or is mounted on or drawn by another vehicle, which is what we have here, the latter, and a body width of not more than 8 feet and a body length of not more than 35 feet when factory equipped for the road and licensed as such by the Commonwealth. Our position is that this is not an RV by the language of that definition in the ordinance. Actually, I am going to give this to Tammy just because I don't think she has.
Thank you.
I will give you, I'll give you my only other copy. Let me ask for one back. I will have testimony here by Mr. Longer, who will state that this is a 2009, and we have a picture of it on the side, a 2009 Salem Forest River LE32 BHDS. And you'll notice, importantly, the length of that travel trailer, RV, whatever we're going to call it, is 36 feet 3 inches. It is described as 8 feet wide, but it has 2 slides on it. And Mr. Langer is prepared to testify when the slides are bumped out, it's an additional 3 feet on each side. So it's essentially 8 feet plus 6 feet. So it's 14 feet wide.
We're done.
Does that mean we win? So, as you know, as Ms. Cass just indicated in her presentation, the notice of violation that was issued on June 27th cited Ordinance 2021-02, Article 6, Section 630B12, recreational vehicles. So it's talking about recreational vehicles. Our position is it is not a recreational vehicle by the specifications of the item that is owned by the Langers placed on their property. It's really more akin to the more generalized definition of mobile home. But we're not here tonight to contest a citation for a mobile home that maybe didn't have a permit or didn't have this or that. They're citing it as an RV. Our position is, per the language and the specifications of this trailer, it is not an RV. It sounds like I'm being cute, with the definitions, it's like, it's a foot and 3 inches long, and it's, but by the letter of that ordinance, I think that is correct. So they're trying to be good landowners. They're not causing a ruckus, they're paying their taxes. I think they're good citizens. They want to be here. They want to do what you guys want them to do, but it has to be within reason. They're in this position now. It's like, well, we have this thing up here, and there's no definitional category for this. Maybe it's somewhere between a mobile home and an RV. I don't know. I think by default, it's probably more of a mobile home. So that is really our position with respect to the parking aspect. Putting that aside, and that ordinance only gets into the parking and the occupancy if it is in fact an RV. So that threshold issue is determinative. But assuming you don't want to focus on our position on that and look more to the ordinance, the trailer in question, there are no other structures on the property other than a little wooden shed behind it that clearly is not big enough to be a garage. And the language of that ordinance only requires it to be placed in such a garage or other available structure is the key word. If it's there, if it's available, and there is not one that is available. And in the absence of that, 630B2 says parking or storage of recreational vehicles and recreational equipment shall be limited to the interior of garages and other available on-lot accessory buildings, driveways, or portion of the property located behind the principal building. There is a driveway here. As the picture reflects, you can see it's on the driveway there. So we don't think with respect to the parking aspect of that ordinance, if you believe it is an RV, that does not apply. So hopefully that gives you a good sense of where we're coming from, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. Do we have a copy of the decision we signed?
Yes.
Here.
I have a question. I don't know whether it's for John or it'd be for Tim, so I don't know how to throw it out there.
Have at it.
But in this decision, and I think we're all familiar with this, even though it's been a couple of years old, part of this was for a single-family dwelling, and a single-family dwelling, correct me, Tammy, if I'm wrong, is the 720 square foot is the minimum
The minimum heated
that we
living
would consider as a single-family dwelling, permanent.
Do I consider,
Do you consider it a minimum of 720 square foot is the minimum size house, home, mobile home you could have to put on a lot permanently?
yes, 720 square feet is a minimum size, minimum 720 square feet of heated living space is required for a single-family dwelling or a mobile home. And I don't, this is, how are we identifying this structure, or this, is it a, individual mobile home, it must meet 720 square feet of heated living space, must have a full perimeter masonry or poured concrete foundation, must meet all area and yard requirements of the district. And the installation of mobile homes shall comply with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Uniform Construction Code. When I was talking about the additional criteria that's needed for that special exception, this is one of the criteria in section 632 of the Summit Township zoning ordinance 2021.
But I guess,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, respectfully, we're not here about that special exception. I mean, we've been cited, as you know, and appealed just that citation. I don't want to be too rigid, but that is what we're here for, and nothing more. We appealed that decision because we didn't think it applied, for the reasons I just said. We don't think it's an RV. We don't really know what it is. We think it is sort of in between, but we think on that point we should prevail, just as it's a legal definitional issue. If there is something that needs to be done beyond the determination of the very thing that we're talking about tonight, and address some of the other issues that we're just sort of getting into there, obviously we're happy to work with the township and figure that out, and maybe we seek another special exception that's a little bit more definitive to what is actually there. Because I think what this applied to something different. He was talking about a 1,300 square foot feet of living space, and that's not what's there. So it's,
No, this is what, when we were at that hearing at that point in time, that we agreed and signed that this was what was going to happen.
right, but you heard Ms. Cass's recitation of the tortured history here because of those plans got changed because of the septic issue. Correct, Tim? Am I mischaracterizing it? I mean, it's essentially, that was the plan.
Honestly, I don't know if the plans got changed. The last thing I knew is we were going forward and he was applying for the small flow treatment facility to accommodate his mobile home that was presented at the zoning hearing board. And he made it clear that the difference between a travel trailer, which he identified at the current, he identified this structure as a travel trailer on the property, that's currently on the property, and made it clear that, so I cannot have a travel trailer, but I can have a mobile home. Yes, that's correct. He was aware of the travel trailer, the difference between a travel trailer and a mobile home.
Yeah, but when he was speaking, I mean, I wasn't there, of course, but I mean, he's not reading the ordinance. It's really it's a very specific legal issue. And saying it's a travel trailer doesn't make it a travel trailer under the ordinance. It is what it is. It's the dimensions and the specification dictate what it is, regardless of what I say or he says or anybody says.
A couple questions. The width of the structure that's there, you've indicated that, I don't see that on the specifications.
It's 8 feet, it's on there. But there's those 2 slides also. And Mr. Langer's prepared to present testimonies to, but those are 3 feet on each side.
And forgive me, I don't see where it says 8 feet. I apologize.
They're like 8 by 35.
Not 14 by 35.
No, maybe it was on the other one, but.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we're 8 feet wide, but it can pull out on either side or both sides.
Right, and you can see in the picture.
Yep, I see that.
Slides are out.
Yep.
They've always been out.
And those pull out, what are the dimensions?
Approximately 36 inches on each side, so an additional 6 feet cumulatively up to the width. So essentially 36-ish by 14.
And from the length, at the spot of the front door, is that part able to be folded up?
Sure, where you're referring.
So are either side of these, do they fold up or do they retract?
The front and back?
Yes.
No. Front and back aren't slide lines.
There's the slides on both sides.
It's on the side.
Only on the side, not on the front and the back?
No, just on the sides. One slide out to one side, one on the other side.
Do you want to hear from Mr. Langhorst?
Sure. Gene would like to come forward.
My name is Gene Wenger, 4124 Winter Street, Pittsburgh, PA 15217. I never thought I gonna be in front of judges, boards, and everything. All I want is property, I call this travel trailer, that's my personal call, put it in and fish. I found a bunch of properties and I call zoning to each township before make some movement on McKean and others. This one was commercial zoning. And when I called the zoning, I specifically asked, can I put my travel trailer in? And the answer was yes, without thinking. And that's why we purchased that thing. And after that nightmare started, I asked Thomas in the office, you answer travel trailer. You answer yes. But she said, I mean mobile home. All right, so we start find a way to stay there without problem. You was helpful, no problem. You help me this and that. You point me how to go to be able to come and fish. When you say all the time hooked up, it's not hooked up. It's hooked up electricity, but water not hooked up. It's just other side of hose laying on the ground because it's leaking inside. So what else? I was told all the time some people complain about travel trailer. I don't understand how the people complain. There is no neighbors. There's only one next neighbor garage named Bill and we friends, basically. There's no other houses there. It's a 50 miles per hour Perry Highway. So I don't know how you can drive and complain about some travel trailer. So this way I will understand. And when I start doing the special exemption for that mobile home, yeah, you approve, and I was looking for mobile home, honestly, there's no lie. And I found mobile home, I found that sewage companies, they checked this out, came and get some probes and say, no, it doesn't work for you. You have to put some single something, system. And it was cost like $25,000. So we said, okay, let's do this. We started talk to the engineers. It was like about 3,000 plus for engineer works. And we almost signed this up. I almost sent them a check, but I got the agreement or something you prepared for me from township to us. And that if you read this agreement, it means you like in jail. You have ability to come and check my something. If something wrong, $500 per day. Something. When I read that agreement, I said there is no way. You can't put your head in, there is no way you can do this. Because if you read this agreement, I don't know where is that agreement. I have it at home. You probably have it here. This is nobody will sign that agreement in normal mind, So that's why we're here. All I want just, it would be question, no, you're not allowed travel trailer. It wouldn't be, anything wouldn't happen. The answer was when I called zoning and asked question, can I put my travel trailer there, was yes. And after we say, oh, I meant mobile home. But I already purchased the property. And all this stuff.
Mr. Langer, if I may, can you confirm the trailer on the property that's owned by your wife, and Olga Langer is your wife?
Yes,
Is that a 2009 Salem Forest River LE 32 BHDS?
yes, that's correct.
Okay, I want to show you a picture though. What is that picture?
Yeah, it's a model. It's a 32 BHDS.
Is that the trailer that's on the
That's the
property?
trailer from property.
That's the model number that corresponds to the document we have. Just to
So
confirm.
showing a picture of a panel on the structure that indicates model 32 BHDS,
Forest River.
which matches the specification sheet that we were earlier provided.
And Mr. Langer, how long is that trailer?
It's a 36 foot and 3 inches with bumper and nose and all together.
And the width of it,
Width is a,
how wide is it?
it's a 8 foot without slides out and 14 foot with the slides, 14 plus.
So 8 feet plus
3
two
feet
slides?
each side,
The slides are 3 feet on each side?
each side. Yes.
And sir, is the trailer right now, is it parked on a driveway on the property?
It was a gravel, I would call it driveway. There is the other asphalt driveway or parking lot. If it's necessary to move it there, it doesn't matter. It was gravel, right now it's a little bit grass on it.
There is a small structure behind the trailer, correct?
Yeah, I put the gazebo,
But there's,
I built it up.
is that structure large enough to be a garage to store the trailer?
No, it's small, it's like 11 by 10, something like that. Like put together gazebo.
All right, thank you.
Okay? Any questions?
No more questions? Kenny, go ahead. Yeah.
How is the wastewater process handled presently?
As what?
Wastewater process?
Sewer.
Sewer.
I don't go there. The toilet doesn't work in the trailer. Like I said, I stopped there for just fishing. I don't use water inside. All I hooked up electricity just for light. I mean, and it's also lights start up automatically at night. I got two flashlights, you know.
So you're not staying there overnight or two, 3 days in a row?
No, one night max. But this year, I wasn't there even once.
Pardon me?
But for this year, I wasn't staying even once. Not one night. My fishing buddy got sick wife and he can't stay overnight, so I just come in the morning sometime and leave in the evening. I don't know.
I know it seems like we have a quandary with the fact that if it's an RV or it's a mobile home or whatever it is, given the width of it, as I think Mr. Langer said it was 8 feet wide and the kickouts are, take it out to 14. And if we take the 14 and just say kickouts are 14 the whole length, which is more generous, and we get the square footage, it's just a shade over 500 square feet. So at some point when we look at it as a mobile home, as a permanent residence, the minimum size per what we agreed to in this variance was a minimum size of a mobile home at 720 square feet. So the question becomes, is this truly a permanent residence as intended?
Well, I would like to add, if I may.
You can sit down if you like. We don't have any more questions.
So, repeatedly, this vehicle has been identified as a travel trailer. The definition of a travel trailer in the zoning ordinance is a mobile vehicle with wheels designed for overnight occupancy or camping purposes, capable of being towed by a passenger automobile and having an overall length of 40 feet or less and an overall width of less than 8 feet. See also recreational vehicles. So that'll take me to the recreational vehicle. And this 2009 Forest View RV Salem 32 BHDS is being identified as a travel trailer, as you can see on this paper that he gave us. It's identified right here as well as down here. So in the definition, it does say, see also recreational vehicles. So when we go to the recreational vehicle, which is a vehicular type of unit as classified as the PA Department of Transportation primarily designed as a temporary living quarters for recreational camping travel use, which has its own motive power and mounted on or drawn by another vehicle and body width of not more than 8 and a body length of not more than 35 feet when factory equipped for the road and licensed by Commonwealth. So I think we're splitting hairs here when it comes to recreational vehicle, RV, travel trailer. They're all associated, they're all the same thing. This is identified as a travel trailer, it says it right there on the paper. As well as an RV, it sends you to this section of RV equipment or vehicle. And this obviously indicates that you cannot store them there as well as live in them or occupy them.
Mr. Lang, when did you buy this unit?
The trailer? Probably 2011.
So you had this unit before we
Yeah,
went through all
yes,
this?
I got it before.
So you said before you were looking at,
I was parked before on the Lempi campground. And after I parked the trailer on my friend property in Erie, PA.
so let me ask you something. Do you think that based on the decision for your exception or your variance, do you believe you brought up the proper, did you bring to completion what the township asked you to do?
I will start doing this, like I said, I found the mobile home, the three bedroom, like.
You already had it though.
I never had it, I just showed the pictures what I want to buy, I never said I had the mobile.
He's referring to.
I hired people who drill holes and figure out if it's that system good or the sewage system. And they told me no, it's not good. And I start working with that $25,000 single whatever family system. I don't know much about, but I got all the papers and get the engineers. Send me some engineers' names, and I called them, and I was thinking to do all this till I got that agreement from your township, guys. If you ever read that agreement, there is no way people in a normal mind can sign this. Seriously. You should look at that, please.
Was this an agreement from the township or from the
That's
health
what I'm saying.
department?
I have to sign.
We have over
Yeah, you can look at
30
this, you
small
can read
flow
it. It's
treatment
ridiculous.
facilities, and all of the owners have signed those.
Yeah, you want to control me like every step.
Just so we're clear, I think the township board may be familiar, but we're talking about an agreement for a small flow treatment facility.
Yeah.
And after that, I just stopped doing this. You can't do this.
I take it this property wouldn't perk for a standard septic system with, like a above ground pressurized. So a flow treatment is basically the only option for this
Yeah.
property.
I think so, yeah.
What are your plans for the future to leave it disconnected to the water, disconnected to the sewer?
I don't want to connect to nothing. I just want to come and stay once a month, maybe twice a month, sleep there after fishing. That's my plans right now. Before, like I said, I have, wait till sewage, till city sewage gonna pass that property. I don't know. They said they got that kind of plans, put the city sewage there. But I was thinking about small flow. Seriously, I've done almost everything. And I stopped by reading that agreement. There is no way. You just sign like you can do with me everything you want. My plan go fishing. I don't hook this up to the water. I understand why. It's my property, I assume, and why I can't put my other property there. You said you can put in the driveway. There is the driveway, big driveway, asphalt driveway.
It's not located in the driveway, it's off to the side.
If on the side, there is the gravel under it.
It's on the side,
I
it's
can
not
move
behind a
it.
principal structure. I don't know anything about the gazebo that's back there, that was not permitted. The letter from the Erie County Health Department said they did several test holes, and nothing passed, so just wanted to confirm that from a letter from the Erie County Health Department, so thought I'd share that information, like, you know, that's out. There's no sewer availability at this time, and
Do we at this point in the township have any other mobile homes, RV, travel trailers in this situation at all?
not a temporary structure on wheels without a permanent foundation. They're all, those belong in a campground. We have identified a campground where,
And commonly, most mobile homes in our area are in mobile home parks.
most of them are in a park, correct. We do have a few mobile homes that, or I would say manufactured home, or a double wide, we may call it, on a parcel, land with a permanent foundation, with a zoning permit, building permit, to confirm hookups and inspections. And that's another thing I want to bring up. Yes, there is a permit at 8788 for a water authority issued a water permit. There are utilities there. There is electricity there. There's, I have evidence showing that they've been hooked up to the utilities occupying travel trailers.
Do you have any more questions? Is it appropriate we could take a recess to discuss some legal issues?
Yes. Is there anything else? Attorney Knox?
I don't believe so.
Bill? Anything else?
Do you see any pictures? Would you like to see any pictures?
I guess for the benefit of the record, I would like to have the notice of violation from the township entered in as an exhibit. And then we will also enter in the board has access to the full zoning ordinance, but I'll certainly take note of 3 documents that were offered by the property owner, pages 27 and 32 of the zoning ordinance, as well as the description and the specifications for the mobile, or the thing, and the picture as well. So we'll mark page 27 as appellants Exhibit 1. We'll mark page 32 as appellant Exhibit 2. We'll mark the specifications as appellant Exhibit 3, and the photograph as appellant Exhibit 4. We will have the notice of violation.
Could you include the past zoning variance from 22 in that?
So the 2022, the August 31st, 2022 decision of the zoning hearing board will be marked as Board Exhibit 1. The notice of violation I'll mark as Township Exhibit 1, and the board will have access to the full zoning ordinance to the extent you want to take a look at anything else. I think I have all of the exhibits. We're going to take a brief recess to talk about legal issues. We'll come back. I do not know if the board will make a decision today, but I will promise you that we won't be in the back room for too long. We're just going to talk about a couple legal issues.
That's a surprise.
Everyone that's ever been here, that's the one.
It's a tough one.
I know, right?
Good job.
Really nice.